Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Ring around the rosy, what do you suppose we can do to fight the darkness in which we drown? Ring around the rosy, this evil thing, it knows me. Lost ghosts surround me, I can't fall down.
Ring, ring-o roses, ring-o rosy, ring around the roses, is a nursery rhyme, folk song, playground singing game. Descriptions first emerged in the mid-19th century, but are reported as dating from decades before, and similar rhymes are known across Europe. It has a Raud folk song index, and it's listed as number 7925. The lyrics vary by modern interpretations based on modern lyrics that are related. The words to the plague in England became widespread post-World War II, even though it appears to be a false folk etymology. It is known that the earliest words for the rhyme was or when it began. Many versions of the game have a group of children form a ring, dance in a circle around a person, and stoop or curtsy with the final line. The slowest child to do so is faced with the penalty of becoming the rosie, literally rose tree from the French rosier, and place into the center of the ring, or takes their place anyways. Now, there are very different formations of it. I'm going to go through a bunch of them here of this. Comes from different versions. Ring a ring, oh roses, a pocket full of posies. A tissue, we all fall down. Ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posies. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. A ring of roses, laps full of posies. Awake, awake, now come and make a ring of roses. Ring of roses, a pocket full of posies. Hush, 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 we're all tumbled down. Ring of posies, a bottle full of posy. All the girls in our town ring for little Josie. A ring of roses, a pocket full of posies. One for Jack, and one for Jim, and one for little Moses. A tissue, a tissue, a tissue. Ringle, ringle, Rhine. Well, actually, this is in German, so even if I say it, you wouldn't even know it, but it's kind of like something as some of the other ones. But nonetheless, the general idea of it is that children forming a circle, prancing, dancing around, and talking about grabbing some flowers, and then something eventually stopping or falling down is the general idea of the song. Now, evidence of a similar children's round dances appeared in continental paintings. For example, Hans Thomas Kinderrein, Children Dancing in a Ring, of 1872 takes place in an alpine meadows, while his later version of the game has the children dancing around a tree. The Florentine of Raffaello Sorbi transported the scene to the Renaissance in his 1877 round dance in which young maidens circle a child at the center to an instrumental accompaniment. The words to which these children danced are not referred to, but their opening is quoted by the English artist who pictured similar scenes in the 19th century. In Thomas Weber's Ring of Roses of about 1850, the children dance to the music of a seated clarinetist, while in Frederick Morgan's Ring of Roses, the title under which it has exhibited at the Royal Academy Summer Exhibition of 1885, the children dance around a tree. The two other artists connected with the Newley School also depicted the game. Elizabeth Adele Forbes in 1880 and Harold Harvey later. The origins and meaning of the game have long been known and subject to speculation. Folklore scholars, however, regard the Great Plague explanation that has been the most common since the mid-20th century as baseless. So theories from the late 19th century, so basically in 1898, a dictionary of British folklore contained the belief that an explanation of the game was the pagan origin, based on the Sheffield Glossary comparison of Jacob Grimm's Deutsche Mythology. The theory states that it is a reference to pagan myth and cited the passage which states, "Gifted children of fortune have the power to laugh roses as Freya wept gold." It claimed the first instance of the indicative of pagan beings of light, basically. Another suggestion is more literal, that it was making a ring around the roses and blowing with all fall down as a curtsy. In 1892, the American writer Eugene Field wrote the poem titled Teeny Weeny that specifically referred to the Fey folk playing Ring-a-Rosy. According to Games and Songs of American Children, published in 1883, the Rosie was a reference to the French word for rose tree, and the children would dance and stoop to the person in the center. Variations, especially more literal ones, were identified and noted with the literal falling down that would serve the connections of the game rhyme. Again, in 1898, sneezing was then noted to be indicative of many superstitions and supernatural beliefs across differing cultures. So the one in which most people kind of know as, since after Second World War, the rhyme has often been associated with the Great Plague, which happened in England in about 1665, is the kind of year that they kind of dated as. But there's other things that I'll explain maybe a little bit later. Or with early outbreaks of the bubonic plague in England, interpreters of the rhyme before World War II make no mention of this. By 1951, however, it seems to have become well established as an explanation for the form of the rhyme that has become standard in pretty much United Kingdom and most of the world. Okay? And that Peter and Iona Opie, the leading authorities of nursery rhymes, remarked, "This, the invariable sneezing falling down in modern English versions have given would-be origin finders the opportunity to say that the rhyme dates back to the Great Plague. A rosary rash, they allege, was a symptom of the plague, and posies of herbs were carried as protection to ward off the smell of the disease. Sneezing or coughing was a final fatal symptom, and all fall down was exactly what happened." The line ashes, ashes, in colonial versions of the rhyme is claimed to refer variations of cremation of the bodies, the burning victims' houses, or blackening of their skin, and the theory has been adapted to be applied to other versions of the rhyme. In this various forms, the interpretation has entered into popular culture and has been used elsewhere to make oblique reference to the plague. In 1949, a parodist composed a version alluding to radiation sickness. So basically, they made it as this: ring a ringle geranium, a pocket full of uranium, Hiroshima, all fall down. In March 2020, during the early stages of COVID, the traditional rhyme was jokingly proposed as the ideal choice of song to accompany hand washing in order to ward off infection. Okay. Now, going back to what I was saying earlier about how they, put it towards the bubonic plague, the problem is that even if you look at that and the Black Plague and everything else that threatened the United Kingdom from the 1300s to at least the 1600s, in that range, that when it was noted for this particular nursery rhyme, none of that was mentioned. Not a single thing. But what was also kind of noted, and that, references have gone to even before the 1300s to describe something else. But during that time also, there was a ban towards certain types of dancing styles, and part of it was the square dancing idea. And so children had decided to do holding hands, prancing and dancing around in circles, and singing so they could dance. And when the adults would, come to them and say, "What? We're playing a game," right? And this way they were able to get away with it. So these are some of the other things. But of course, stating that, how the plague took so many people across Europe and England, or the United Kingdom, and that what they had to do, and that the ashes before falling down or after falling down was basically to symbolize how they had to burn people to stop the spreading. Whichever version you decide, this is the dark side of